So I had built this chicken tractor. I call it my chicken church. PVC and some, I forget what this is called. Anyway, plastic fencing. There's a word for it. I forget it. But anyway, the door on it snapped. We had a cold snap here in Florida. I don't know how cold it got, but when I built it, it had always been just a little bit tweaked. Like it wasn't perfectly square. I believe when I put it together, I may have had it twisted one way or another, and so it was glued together tight, but there was torque. So there was some torsion somewhere in the pipes. So when it froze, when it got really cold, it forced itself to straighten out and it snapped. That makes sense? Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. Loosened up the makeshift hinges that I had built, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it off, slip this out, and I'm gonna slip the other piece in and build it around that rather than take my hinges completely apart and try to put them back together again. Shouldn't be too bad. I've got enough pipe here to build it and some more connectors, so I'm gonna dry fit it first and then come back and glue it afterward. And some more zip ties, which I'm probably going to use to shore up a couple of places here. Added some wheels since I built it, so I can just pick up one end and kind of just roll it back and forth, because my chickens, they love to be out, but when I don't feel like watching them, they got to be kept safe, because that preserve back there has got a bunch of nasty hawks and owls, and I didn't learn my lesson the first time, and I recently lost another chicken. So I'm not trying to be cruel and just feed my little chickens to the wild animals. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do this step by step. So I've cut that piece out. One of the interesting little benefits is when this is loose, they swivel, so that'll make it a little bit easier for me to fit a big piece in without having to cut too much. I'll probably have to cut some of these to get this to where I want it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and measure this out. I'm gonna dry fit a hinge onto the top so I know exactly where it needs to stop. Give it a cut, dry fit the bottom elbow, not hinge, elbow, and just build the door again. So I've fitted 3 sides. PVC is pretty easy to work with as long as you have a sharp cutter, which I have. Don't use it for anything but PVC. I've got one at school that the kids try to cut something hard with and it's all chipped up. Still cuts, but just makes it a little bit harder and not as smooth when you cut it. Anyway, so I've got some extra pieces. I trimmed it, doing kind of a quick job for sure. Would have measured it and cut it to exact, but I'm good with just cutting it by estimation. Now, as is typical, I didn't buy an elbow, but I have this T connector, so I'm using it. Maybe until I find an elbow, but in the meantime it'll work. I'm short one elbow. I've also been able to, so this piece here is a remnant from what was left here, so I was able to reuse that. I'm going to be able to reuse this as well, because that T piece gives me a little bit extra room to play with, so I'll be reusing this as well. And then I'm just going to have to, I think I just got rained on. And then I'm going to just reconnect my netting with some zip ties. You'll see my magnetic tool picker-upper. Did this ever happen to you? I thought I was missing my tip, but the drive guide was up and it fooled me into thinking I had dropped the tip. So I got my magnetic arm, tried to find the tip until I retracted the drive guide, and there it was. Anyway, I'm almost done. So there's the finished product. I didn't have all the pieces I needed, so I did have a connector, so I was able to complete that. And I'm okay with that. It swings. I've got a small catch lock here that I can put in and tie together. Got to make that work a little bit better, but I can make that catch just enough to keep the door closed, just so the chickens can't open it themselves, that's all. But I'll mess with that a little more. It's kind of just an idea there. Got the 2 hinges. So, fixed that pretty easily. It took me a little bit of messing around with the top there because I thought I had everything I needed, but I was able to put a couple of scraps together. So it's all good. So those wheels in the back work. That didn't really pan out, so that's going to come off. But if I just push from this end or pull from this end, those wheels work pretty well. So there you go. Fix the chicken church.